This is it, folks. It's all starting to happen. Japan's economy is about to melt down. It's starting to unravel. Well, I mean, that's odd. I just took a look and everything actually seems to be functioning fine in Japan. The long-term interest rates are, well, they're the second lowest in the world, as they've been for a long time now, only after Switzerland. And deflation, well, it's too low according to the government, although it is pretty steady. So, how come Japan is so normal? Okay, none of this should be making any sense, if you're a debt hawk, that is. Okay, if you've been following Japan and even the United States, you probably know the debt hawk narrative. Once the loyal customers of these sovereign bonds or treasuries or Japanese government bonds, once the customers disappear, then the public finances hit a wall, and the only inevitable outcome of that will be a sovereign debt default. Well, the conditions have happened just recently, and they are in a process of continuing to happen. Now, what the heck am I talking about? Well, only that two of some of the world's biggest financial institutions and the biggest customers for Japanese government bonds, the state pension fund plus the post office, are cutting their bond purchases and instead replacing them with purchases of equity, both Japanese and foreign. In other words, the so-called loyal customers of the Japanese bonds are fading into the background, and get this, now in the backdrop to this, or we should probably even put the foreground to this, is Japan's massive fiscal debt, which is huge, the biggest amongst industrialized countries. And back to the narrative that the debt hawks told us about, Japan will no longer be able to finance this massive debt if its so-called loyal customers go away. Well, they are going away. So what's happening? Why is Japan normal? Well, I could have predicted this. In fact, I did predict this back in a few years ago. Everyone told me I was wrong. But it goes something like this. The BOJ has kicked in and it's buying just about all of the bonds that are being bought. And what are the repercussions? Well, granted, Japan's GDP is down the last quarter, but that's not really related to this problem. But the repercussions are basically, well, nothing. Nothing happened, despite all the dire warnings by the debt hawks over many years, particularly from about 2008. They've been telling us with great conviction of this meltdown scenario, and that the next step, which we should be in by now, is a sovereign debt default. Well, clearly that's not happening, and there really aren't any prospects for it happening. Mind you, just about every time the debt hawks try to make a prediction since 2008, they have been wrong. Unfortunately, and very strangely and bizarrely, that hasn't really dented their credibility. Except among me, and probably a minority of people who also have my type of thinking on this issue. So you got one school of thought which is right, and one school of thought that has been consistently wrong. What are you going to do? Well, that's your decision. I've made up my mind on this issue. Thank you for watching.